Hello there, this is Dana Arcuri, author, speaker, survivor, and advocate from danaarcuri.com. And today's topic is a very intriguing subject, and it is learn how to trust your intuition. And so oftentimes people say that you can't trust your feelings, that, don't trust your heart doesn't lead you in the right direction. And yet we were made and designed and created with gut instincts. So these gut instincts are an internal GPS inside of us to protect us, to alert us to potential danger, and it may guide us in making important decisions. It could keep us safe on so many different levels. It could be something to help us, whether it's with our relationships, with our health, with our home during the COVID-19. Come on, people, you know what I'm talking about. Like the whole thing on, should you go out in public? Should you stay home? Should you mask up? Should you not? It's all about trusting ourselves. So if we want to learn more about intuition, let's go to the definition of what an intuition is. All right, so here we go. According to wikipedia.com, intuition is the ability to acquire knowledge without recourse to conscious reasoning. Different fields use the word intuition in very different ways, including, but not limited to, direct access to unconscious knowledge, unconscious cognition, inner sensing, inner insight, to conscious pattern recognition, and the ability to understand something instinctively without any need for conscious reasoning. So oftentimes, we do have this gut instinct and it's inside of us. And I consider it like an alarm system. And it lets us know with certain signals whether something is safe or dangerous, whether a person is trustworthy or not trustworthy, whether we should consider, say, starting a new business or not doing it right now. The gas pedal brakes might be on at this time, where we might be sensing just kind of like inside of us, now is not the time. Just be still, just wait. And I think it's really crucial that we understand that all of us have this internal GPS inside of us, this sixth sense, or some people call it that soft voice within you that is directing you, that is guiding you, that is showing you the way to go or what not to do. So when we think about our intuition, we can understand that at different seasons of our life, say in our childhood, we may not have been in tune to this gut instinct. So oftentimes people who have experienced any form of child neglect, child abuse, narcissistic abuse, especially if it was a parent and you were raised in a very dysfunctional family, you may not have been taught to trust yourself. You may have actually been told, you're the problem. Stop crying. Stop feeling that way. No, you're wrong. No, it's all you. Oh, it's your imagination. Oh, you're just so sensitive. Oh my goodness, we've heard it all, people. And yet, as we grow up and mature and we really start seeking our own independent pathway in adulthood, we can then embrace this intuition that is within us. It's within us. And so when I was a child and I was living in a very toxic environment with a dysfunctional family, it was very unpleasant. I was not taught healthy boundaries. I didn't know about boundaries. I didn't know that I could trust myself. And I lived in fear. When you are a child and you are neglected, you are abused, you are sexually assaulted, you were bullied by your toxic siblings, you are hurt and harmed and psychologically and physically abused by a narcissistic parent, such as my mother. You are not in tune to these innate instincts within you, such as this gut instinct. And so, as a child, I didn't know that I had intuition. As I started getting older and I became a teenager, I still was not aware that there is this internal GPS within me that could keep me safe. Due to this lack of knowledge and not being aware, I mean, hey, a lot of children, under 18, they're not aware of boundaries. They're not aware of their gut intuition. They're not aware of their internal GPS that can protect them. And this is important. If you were abused as a child or even a teenager, and you were in a very toxic environment, a lot of times you could disassociate. And there's repressed memories. There's suppressed emotions. You're told you're not allowed to cry. You're not allowed to feel. Think about that. To be told by a parent that you cannot express human emotions such as sadness, grief, fear, confusion, trauma, abuse, manipulation, gaslighting, bullying, harassment, and on and on and on it goes. And so we eventually grow up, and this is something that the toxic bullies and narcissists should fear. Oh yes, they should fear us. They should be terrified, because guess what? We grow up, we grab our wings, and we soar. And once we are more in tune to these special gifts that we have within us, such as intuition, such as that inner knowing. And you may not know why you know what you know. There are times we can't explain how we know something. It's what I consider supernatural phenomena. It's the knowing without this logical explanation. And so you could know deep down inside that something's wrong, that something's just not right. And you could understand that the home is quite a malicious place, that you are suffering because of the ongoing abuse. But when we grow up and then we get our wings and then we expand ourselves, we transform ourselves, and we realize that there's this beautiful gift called intuition. And many people who are empaths, people who are highly sensitive people, compassionate people, and those who are on a soul mission to grow themselves, to transform themselves. It's like a beautiful metamorphosis. We just embrace this wonderful gift that is there to protect us, to guide us, to help us, and to be with us. There's this beautiful quote, and it is by Dean Koontz, and he says, "Intuition is seen with your soul." And I think that is true. You're seen with your soul. You have this soul. We are not people who just happen to have a soul. Instead, we are souls that happen to be in the human form, the physical form, at this time for such a season as right now. And part of our soul growth, spiritually growing, professionally growing, relationally growing, we're expanding ourselves, personally. And there's so many different levels of this wonderful development and growth and the pathway to healing. And part of it is clinging on to your feelings and your emotions, and to validate, yes, if you feel a certain way, it's okay. Trust your feelings, which leads me to, there are some folks, especially in organized religion, that believe that intuition is of the devil. They believe that it's evil to trust your feelings. They say, no, you can't trust your heart. You can't trust your feelings. That's what they say. Well, I'm here to tell you that is hypocrisy, that is legalism, and that is not how God created you. You are created with a soul. You are created with this intuition, and it's not accidental that you have it. You were formed and you were made for this divine purpose. And when we tune into our intuition, and we have signals and they're alerting us and they're keeping us aware and informed, and it is there for us, we could either deny it and say, I don't trust my feelings, I don't trust myself, oh no, it's my imagination. Or we could honor ourself. We could honor that, yes, this is a beautiful gift. Yes, we are divine people who have these beautiful souls who are expanding and growing, and there is such a spiritual, beautiful dimension involved with it. And we could allow ourselves to be guided by that still, soft voice. Next is that another beautiful and inspiring quote is by Gavin de Becker, and he says, intuition is always right in at least two important ways. It is always in response to something, and it always has your best interest at heart. And I do believe that our intuition, it does have our best interest at heart, especially when it comes to living a productive life, being healthy, knowing intuitively whether a relationship is toxic or whether it's nurturing, whether it's gentle, whether it's kind and meaningful, and it is something important to us, or whether it is breaking us, it is hurting us, it is harming us, and it is not at all part of the path that we are meant to be on. And I think that as I grew up, as I learned that I am a highly sensitive person, I am an empath, I have compassion, and I enjoy fully embracing all of my gifts, including intuitiveness. And so when, for example, we are out and about and all of a sudden we get this instant signal within our gut, and it's a signal, and it's almost saying, beware, 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 beware. And all of a sudden, our heart's racing. We start perspiring. We have anxiety, and something feels wrong. It just feels like, oh my goodness, something sinister is about to unfold. And I know that some of you have experienced this, whether there was a robbery and that took place in your home, whether there was a home invasion, whether there was some very toxic person who was setting out to hurt you in a very, very malicious, sinister way, that there are times our body does signal us. When I was a young adult, so I was in my very early 20s, and I was living away from home for a period of time while I was in beauty school, and I was home alone, and the roommates were not home with me. So I was going to bed early, and it was probably 10 o'clock at night, and I needed to head to bed because the next day I needed to get up early and go to school. Well, all of a sudden, I hear a big crash. I hear glass shattering. I knew it was the front window of the living room, and of course, immediately I'm in fear mode. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what is happening? Someone's coming into my home. What do I do? And instantly, my gut instincts just kind of set in, and they kind of take action, because you either listen to it, oh, it's nothing. Oh, it's just my imagination. No, that's glass shattering. It's not my imagination. And I need to do whatever I need to do to protect myself and stay safe. And at that moment, I sense, just stay in the bed. You are in a dark bedroom, a very large bedroom, in which the door to the bedroom was on the other side of me. And it was really scary to know that I'm in a home in which someone has broken in, and it could be more than one person. Good chance it's a male. You don't know if you're going to be raped. You don't know if you're going to be murdered. You don't know what's going to come down when these kind of things happen. But again, my intuition told me, stay right where you are at. And at that time, I wasn't really a person deeply entrenched in religion at all. I was not really much of a big believer. I was still very, very young. I grew up without religion. But long story short, I sensed, that sixth sense, stay put, don't move, don't make a noise. Now, I didn't know if these robbers knew that I was home. I didn't know if they knew anything about their surroundings. I just knew that someone was breaking in and they were stealing the belongings. And so what happened was, at one point, one of the robbers, a man, came into the bedroom, and not literally the whole way in. He kind of like opened the door, briefly stepped in, and he threw our dog in my bedroom. And then he shut the door. And it was scary because I didn't know, like, could he see me? Did he not see me? Well, of course, now I know, the room was dark. No, he didn't see me. He didn't want the dog barking or biting, and that's why he picked the dog up and threw the dog in my room. Well, the dog instantly, just like that, climbed into bed with me. And I'm quietly just saying, it's okay. I'm like whispering, it's okay. And I'm petting the dog and I'm trying to comfort this dog. In the meanwhile, I'm scared out of my mind. And then it got a little bit quiet. I couldn't hear these robbers anymore. I heard them leave through the front door, and I knew they were taking things. You could hear the noise. You could hear things being ripped out. I figured they were taking the stereo because at the time, in the 80s, that was a hot item, a very, very expensive, large stereo unit. And something within me, that still soft voice said, hurry up and lock the door. Go to your bedroom door, lock the door. And so I did. I hurried up, I went over to the bedroom door and I locked it. And then I went back into my bed with the dog and just stayed there in the quietness of that moment. And gave it another 10, 15 minutes and finally tiptoed over, cracked open the door and peeked out, and there was nobody there. The robbers were gone. So the whole point of the story is that I listened. I paid attention. Yes, there were signals. The hair on my arms were raised. I was scared. There was perspiration. My heart was racing. There was fear. And there was that little soft voice that said, stay put, don't make a noise. And thank goodness the room was so large. That bedroom was so dark and so large. There was no lighting. And that's why the robber probably couldn't see me. And good chance he didn't even know that I was present, which is actually just a blessing in disguise. And so the story is that I listened and trusted my gut instincts, and I lived. I survived this robbery. And so we must know that it's vital to pay attention to our body that does signal us. And so we could flip it now in another direction, even when it comes to intuition guiding you in your life choices, say your career, say going to college, whether you should or shouldn't marry someone, whether you should or shouldn't be in a relationship with a person, whether you should go somewhere or do something, or anything financially, as far as your health, what direction you should go in promoting wellness. And so when we look at the big picture of focusing on this gift of intuition that each of us have, it's up to us to learn to listen to the signals, So for example, there are times when we are going to make a big decision, a really big decision. And so we might ask other people, but in reality, it's not their life. It's not their choice. And they don't have our history. They don't have our skills. They don't have our background. They don't have, our personality. So what they think and what we think are two different things. So it's not necessarily important to even ask other people what they think, because who cares what other people think when it comes to making a big decision? What matters is that you trust yourself enough that if you're, say, making this big decision on a big career move, say you're going to quit your job and start your own business, and there's something within you that feels at peace. So when you are meditating on it, or you're praying on it, and you're seeking wisdom, and you're seeking discernment, say there's this calm and this peace, and you actually feel excited. This is a sign. This is your green light. This is your go. This is the green light that is saying, yes, this is the path. Trust yourself. You're so unhappy in that job you're in. That boss is toxic. He's narcissistic. Why are you wasting your time and your skills and your creativity and all the good things that you're bringing into this job? And this boss is unappreciative. And so your intuition's guiding you. It's saying, yes, believe in yourself, trust yourself. This is the path to go and to follow it. And the thing is that even if there are times that we follow our intuition, and we're just going to say, for an example, say the job didn't work out. Say you end up having your own business, and after a year or two, it kind of flounders. Then again, with the whole pandemic, we can't be surprised when a business flounders right now. But let's just say, for an example, it would flounder. And that doesn't mean that your intuition was wrong. That just could be, sometimes it's now, that right now's not the time. Yes, your intuition can be saying, yes, this is the right path. Yes, keep going. Yes, keep getting those skills. Yes, you might need to gain more knowledge. You might need to get more skills to help you in this new career path. But in reality, as far as my own self, my intuition has never failed me. Not once. So my intuition has always been spot on 100% of the time. And, we could look back and say, well, I wish I would have listened to it, but let's not get caught up in beating ourselves up over it. Instead, let's just be thankful and have gratitude that today, right now, we have this gift of intuition that will guide us, that will direct us, that will bring us onto the right pathway at the right time for the right purpose. And that sometimes we need to wait. Sometimes we need to, wait for the right moment. It doesn't always mean take action today. Sometimes it means, yes, you're heading onto the right path, but there's a few things that need to be planned out and organized. And so part of intuition is seeking answers. Is there something else I need to do? Do I need to educate myself about something? Do I need to build awareness about something? But for the whole thing to come together, a big part of this whole journey of trusting our intuition and learning that it's there for us to protect us and to help us is to know that your emotions are valid, to not suppress or repress your emotions, because our emotions are valid. And for people to say you can't trust your heart and you can't trust your feelings and you can't trust yourself, I'm sorry, but I don't agree with that. And I believe that we have been made and created for this wonderful, beautiful purpose of knowing right from wrong, of listening to ourselves and focusing on those signals within our body that are eternal GPS to protect us, to keep us safe, and to help us. And so we have this still soft voice. It is speaking to you. Are you listening? Are you paying attention to the signals? Do you have peace or do you have unrest? Do you have calm or do you have anxiety? Do you feel good and positive, or are you feeling bombarded with fear? Now, we can't let fear guide us. We cannot let fear be something that is a roadblock in our journey of expanding ourselves and living out our full potential. Fear is an emotion and we can't ignore it, but on the same token, there are times people have a spirit of fear and they are held back their entire lives because they live in doubt. And you could either listen to that still soft voice and trust yourself and listen to that gut instinct of yours and allow it to help you along your journey in life. Or you could not listen to it and just kind of flounder and just hope for the best. So share with me Do you listen to your gut instinct? Has it always been spot on? Do you believe that our emotions are valid? Do you trust yourself? I think when it comes to the end of the day, when you look in the mirror, are you able to trust yourself? I know I am. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. Share with me if you believe in your intuition and that it's guiding you and that it's your internal GPS. And you could check out my website at danaarcuri.com. Thanks and have a beautiful day.